Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of July 25th, the final week of July as we head into August next week. As normal, let's get started with the Mythic Plus affixes for this week. This week we have Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstering. Again, that's Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstering. Now, Fortified Bolstering is going to slow down anybody to some extent. So after having a couple really good push weeks, we now have a week where there's at least something slowing you down. Entangling, of course, is pretty much free. It's very much like Volcanic. You just walk out of it. However, Fortified Bolstering is bound to slow you down at least a little bit when it comes to pushing keys. However, it doesn't necessarily make your keys like super hard if you're just doing like your 16s or your 10s or whatever it is you do. It doesn't necessarily make it difficult. It just slows you down. So, not a terrible week, but not a week for like Omega pushing most likely, especially with nerfs coming in. And we'll talk about the Mythic Plus meta a little bit later in the video as well. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in game this week. Only notable thing going on this week is the Legion time walking. So if you're into time walking and stuff, it's Legion this week. This of course had been accompanied by doing like the Legion Mythic Plus as well in the past. I don't think that's the case. I think they've gotten rid of that for now, as they are bringing back old dungeons all the time into the Mythic Plus pool. So it's not as an eventful thing, but you can go ahead and participate in Legion time walking. And other than that, there's not a ton of things like events going on in game this week, similar to last week. Although next month into August, we have a lot more interesting things to do. I think we should start off talking real quick about the meta, like I was just mentioning for Mythic Plus. So we saw with Aug Evokers that Mythic Plus is basically automatically you need an augmentation evoker in your group if you're doing like super high keys, and if you're doing lower keys, it just makes your key a lot easier if you have one of these augmentation evokers in there. Now they are receiving nerfs, and I expect to see nerfs until they are more in line with other specs, frankly. And this is causing a huge debate. The people who are against having a support class at all are obviously using this, rightfully so, in their favor. And eventually it'll get nerfed, and then people will say it's fine. The people who like support class will say it's fine, and then the people who don't like support classes are going to say, yeah, but look, they're not good anymore, so no one's playing them, so it's worthless, and it'll just be a back and forth. There is a dichotomy there. Like I've said before, I think I saw like 48% of the WoW community was interested in playing a support class, but that means 52% is not. So you're gonna have this constant back and forth, almost politics or sports debate between the spec, frankly, especially until or if they eventually add more in the future. I'm just kind of one on the side of it's not going to stay broken forever. If anything, they will make it bad enough to where it's not being abused anymore, and that's a shame, of course, because at the same time, it's not that big of a shame, because the people who want to play it casually, you can still play it casually, and you're still going to help your teammates out. And if the choice is like you playing a DPS, maybe you don't min-max your DPS, but you are getting out your buffs properly and stuff, and it's a little bit more, it's not about a perfect rotation. You still have to do your stuff right, but it's not about a perfect rotation with Augmentation Evoker. And so maybe the DPS you're putting out, even in a nerfed Augmentation Evoker, is still more than you would be doing on like a pure DPS spec. So your DPS plus what you're giving your partners, even in a nerf state, could be more than what you would do on your own. And I think that's a really good option for players to have if you are one of those players. So we'll see how it all ends up, but I expect to see either anywhere between 0 and 4 in the Race to World First, so in 10.2, anywhere between 0 and 4 in the raid group, and I would say probably 0 to 2. I don't think it'll be like humongously stacked. There's no reason to stack them anymore after the nerfs more than 4, so it'd be 4 at the max, but I don't think there will be 4. I think there'll be 0, 1, or 2, personally. And in Mythic Plus, I think it will get tamed down a bit to where they're still good to bring, which I think is fine. But, it won't be like a mandatory thing, how it kind of feels now, where they're so good, right? I think with these nerfs, and then perhaps additional nerfs coming in the coming weeks, they want them to be good for a while, right? That's the thing. Whenever something's new, they want it to be good for a while because they want people to enjoy the new thing. That people like to enjoy the new thing. So it can't be broken, but it can be good. And I think it's fine being good all the way till 10.2. And then maybe in 10.2, it gets nerfed down to where it's doing damage output more like a Ret Paladin. For example, like between it plus the damage it's giving, it's doing like Ret Paladin damage, which is really bad if you don't know right now. And then it's still giving defensives and stuff as well. So utility. So you can bring it as a utility thing. You won't lose out too much on damage, but you gain utility. I think that's kind of where it has to end up personally. So I could be wrong. That's just my opinion, frankly. So other than that, we will have, like I said, a lot of things coming up soon, but nothing too much this week going on. One big thing that's still active every single day, and I might do a video on this just because there is some interesting things with it. So what I have gotten into a lot this past week, doing it every single day, was the Dragon Daycare thing, which is not normally my style, and then the daily quest at Aeon's Fringe as well, along with doing the time rift. So I'm trying to get my rep up all the way with Sidormi to the 5 rep. I'm like 3 out of 5 right now, and then also trying to collect those mounts and stuff like that from the vendors there from doing the time rifts. So as far as the Daycare goes, I would say it's definitely for casuals. Like it's like really casual people or people who just love battle pets. So you could be a hardcore battle pet people and like it, or a casual gamer and like it, right? Basically, you're just getting flight stones and you're getting pet battle tokens and stuff like that. The quests are somewhat interesting, I would say, but not like hyper interesting in any way. I am almost done with it. I'm mostly doing it because my son wanted to do it, so I'm doing it with him, my little boy. He finds it interesting, so I do it with him. The Aeon's Fringe daily, however, if you don't know about this, Aeon's Fringe, you might have the portal unlocked that is there, but it's in like the south middle of Thaldraszus, almost to the bronze area. And if you fly to it, it'll say Aeon's Fringe. You might have even gotten a quest to go there at the start of this patch and just kind of forgot about it. But there's a daily quest there every day, and these quests are extremely interesting, actually. So if you like side lore at all in the game, these quests are extremely interesting. They give you some of the fragments that you need or whatever for the mounts from the time rifts. They also give you reputation with Sidormi as well. So I do highly recommend checking those out if you care at all about like cool little lore and stuff in the game. Those are actually interesting. And obviously the time rifts I'm having a lot of fun with, especially this past week because, as people have stopped doing them as much, some people literally farm the crap out of them and already have max reps, so they have and bought everything and they don't have any reason to do it anymore. So now that there's less people doing them, the lag is gone. And that's not necessarily a good thing because there's definitely people who quit doing them because of the lag, right? They lag so bad, frame lag so bad from it that they just never did it again. That's terrible. That's something I wish Blizzard could address. But I don't know how to do that without a new engine, but I wish they could address it. But, the reality is now it's a lot more comfortable doing them. So it's actually really easy, really quick. You get a lot of rep because you're not, lagging around at all. And you can actually do the last boss, and the last boss is a lot simpler because of it. So everything's pretty much nice with that now, which is having me do it more. And then I will get done with my stuff faster. So I'm definitely enjoying that as well. So like I said, there's not a ton of stuff going on. So time rifts are kind of like the main thing. If you aren't pushing Mythic Plus or doing some sort of end game thing, it's really just farming these time rifts is kind of like the casual content to do right now. And there's not much more than that. Obviously, gearing alts is easy as ever. They added a alt catch-up person outside of Loam in Zalaric Caverns. Loam is the main city down in the caverns. And outside of it, there's a vendor that sells catch-up gear for flight stones. It's like $398, I believe, that you can upgrade as well. So there is gear that you can buy there for catch-up. There's PvP conquest gear as well for catch-up. But that's where the PvE vendor is. It's in Loam, outside of the little hut there, down there. So it is a very nice alt catch-up thing. So like if you just got an alt and you have plenty of flight stones on your main character and on maybe other alts even, you could just funnel gear right to that fresh alt and have it start doing some like low end Mythic Plus or whatever pretty much right away. So yeah, unfortunately not a ton to talk about this week. A lot more to talk about next week and into the next month though. So as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody have a good one.